How's it going, everyone? Mad Spartan here, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be talking about the Epoch of Pain Cosmic Skill Gate, specifically Path 2, which is the Nebula path, for those of you that don't know. Now, for those of you that haven't watched my other videos, we have already done the Nebula path on the Science Tech route, but in this case, we have to make a team of Cosmics and Skills, and it was pretty stressful in trying to figure it out. And as I said in my last video, I have literally had to rank up one person every single time I've done one of these paths. For the first one, it was rank 2 my Deathless She-Hulk. For the next one, it was rank 2 my Prowler. And for this, it was rank 3ing my Null. Now, rank 3ing was a little overboard. I didn't have to do that, but I know he is very good for Necropolis, for the 10-year challenge path, which I plan to be running eventually. I already did the Mutant one, so I'll probably run into that later. So I was like, screw it, he's going to be rank 3 anyway, might as well rank 3 him now for this. Now, for those of you that don't know how this path works and haven't watched me take the Science Tech, or you haven't done this at all yet, this node for this path is this, every single path has its own separate node on top of their own ones. For this road, it's the defenders take no damage from any attacks, any specials, nothing like that, but every time they are inflicted with a debuff that isn't a stun, you take 2% of their max health, which is a little annoying sometimes, but for this, I have to say, as I said in the title, Null takes the entire path by himself. Like, literally, you could take this entire path by yourself. I have to do a little bit of spoiler warnings, a lot of solos in this path. Unfortunately, I could not solo the Photon just because I suck and I'm a creature of habit and I kept doing the same stupid mistake, which we'll get to in a little bit. And the way that Atom is made, it's just horrible. It's very difficult to beat him, especially just for me. So if you were good enough, you would at least have 4 solos, because I should have soloed at least 4 people and just died a million times to Atom, but I stupidly died once to Photon. It was annoying. So if you guys are like really good, you could solo this entire path with Null, and it really is that simple. I know that sounds crazy, this crazy path with all of these whatever, Summoner of Pain fights. It can literally be conquered by one singular character. So now this node, specifically with the Null, completely bypasses majority of the nodes. But what Nebula has is she alternates between 2 modes, Unblockable and Overdrive. While in Overdrive, when you hit her block, she's going to shock you for a lot. Now, as you can see with our team, we are running Null, Odin, and Hitmonkey. Now, Hitmonkey is just there as a 7-star, so I could go through the gate, and also I feel like he's going to do very well against Ares. Odin is to give us pre-fights so that we are able to fight the buffed up Adam Warlock. Now, I know you guys are saying, oh, that's a useless character. I'm telling you, I mean, Odin himself is useless for this path, but I mean, I'm sure he's useful for Ares. I mean, you could use anyone against Ares, but mine was 1-1, so I couldn't use him. So what we're going to be doing here is when she's in Overdrive, we can freely parry her, and we're just doing medium, because Nebula has a 90% chance to auto-block you. And in this mode, when she auto-blocks you, she's going to put that big shock on you. So we don't want any part of that. So it's only mediums, and then it's also heavies. So anything that uses like his symbiote tendril attacks, those actually bypass auto-block and evade, I believe. So as you can see here, we can kind of get some damage off. I don't think we get good RNG a couple times, but while she's in Unblockable, you can just hit her block, gain the Living Abyss through her block, and take 2% off like that. Now, for a normal character, we could be doing a 5-hit combo and taking, at most, 4% of their health away in a single 5-hit combo, because it would go around and you'd be able to inflict it the second time on the second medium if you were lucky enough. Also, the activation of your SP2 also gives the 2% increase, because when you do it, it inflicts armor breaks, which bypasses it, it gives the 2%. So what we're doing here is in the Unblockable, we're basically just shredding through her block, and then when she is in the Overdrive, it's parry, medium, or you can maybe punish her special like that with a heavy. You do something like that, which is fairly simple. I'm telling you, this fight was very easy. It just is a little time consuming. It's one of the only fights that takes a long time. Which is annoying, because if you mess up on a later fight, you got to reset. You have to do this long fight again. But as you can see, it's definitely a lot better than our Howard the Duck one, which took forever to do. But this Null one, he's in full control of it. You obviously, it's it takes a lot of practice. You also have to make sure that you don't accidentally hit her with a light, because she will auto block it. It's 90% chance, and then every buff you have reduces it by 15. But we don't want to use the Odin pre-fights right now, because I made a mistake. I didn't know the full properties of the Odin pre-fights. I thought, because every time you parry Nebula, she nullifies one of your buffs. So I thought if one of Odin's pre-fights gets nullified, he will not be able to carry it into the next fight. So I got a little nervous there. I didn't want to chance it. You know, I wanted to make sure that I had my 3 buffs for when I fought Adam, because if I make it all the way to Adam and I don't have all 3 pre-fights, I'm literally screwed. I have to, like, turn around and do nothing. So I pretty much didn't want to chance it. We don't use the Odin pre-fights, I believe, until Destroyer, or maybe Photon, I believe, because I was afraid that, like, somehow Destroyer is going to take it off me. And as you can see here, she is corrupted. Doesn't really matter. It's just instead of inflicting Living Abyss, you are inflicting degens, but does not pause how you play him. As you can see here, it's just constant mediums. You can constantly see auto block failed because she is not able to auto block those attacks. So it is a endless cycle of medium, throwing heavies, hitting into her block while she's unblockable, and as you can see there, it's 2%, 2%. When we get good RNG where every medium is inflicting a Living Abyss, it's 2%, then she dashes back another 2%, then she dashes back another 2%. You're literally killing these people through their block. You know, that's only with good RNG, though. There is a few times in this run where I hit into these people's block a million times and I don't get any Living Abysses, so it is a little frustrating at times. But you get the hang of it. You know, him being rank 3 literally only increases his health pool because you are only able to do 2%. But I do have to say, though, that that rank 3, he's not even 345 in this video. I think he's like 37. Like, I don't even think like he's like fully ranked up. It was a complete waste if I wasn't going to be able to fully max it out. But every little bit counts, I guess. There is one fight that I ended up finishing with like 1% health, so I guess if he wasn't 3-7, I would have died there. So she's at 6% here, so we're just going to be trying to inflict debuffs through her block to finish her off here. We do get another one, and we're hoping that we get good RNG, and just like that, she goes down. One solo in the books. Fairly simple. It is very time-consuming. You know, right now you could probably throw the Odin pre-fights on if you wanted to, but doesn't really matter. So with this node, for those of you that don't know, Northstar, very frustrating character at times. The main thing is he has Bubble Shield, which is frustrating because he has a lot of hits just like Quicksilver. And also when he throws his specials, he goes miss for like 2 seconds. So you're never able to punish his specials. You have to make sure that you intercept him or hit him after a heavy, because you can't even throw your specials unless you're doing those actions. So it's a lot of like holding your meter, and you know he's going to be in your face the whole time. But a little trick, if you know how to dex Northstar's SP2, it becomes a lot easier, because I think the whole process of this is he's going to be constantly throwing the SP1s because you don't know how to dex his SP2, and he's just going to cover the distance and eventually get you in the corner, and he's going to be shredding through your block with his crazy combo, and he's just going to be doing a lot of damage. As you can see here, we're hitting through his block and constantly getting 2% off of him. So before he even gets a bar, he's already down to like 14, he's down like 14% of his health. 16 now, you know, before he even gets a bar. So now we're in the corner here, but we want to make sure that we get him to his SP2, because, you know, it is a very simple dex, but I gotta say, like 95% of the time I can do it. There is other times I don't. You know, it's a little early or a little late. The reason why you want him to throw the SP2 instead is because he doesn't really cover much distance on his SP2. With the SP1, it's constantly charging forward, then he dashes in and dashes right, covering more distance. You know, if you let him cover too much distance, he will literally cover the entire screen. So we want to make sure he only throws SP2, so we have to dex a lot, which is a little frustrating because there is times that even I don't get it all the time. But luckily, with Null's long-reaching SP2 and his SP3, you are able to pretty much get back to the neutral ground of the map. We are trying to make sure that he only throws SP2s. When he has no meter, you hit into his block to gain the Living Abysses, so you try to get as much damage as possible before he even gets a bar, and just a simple dex with his SP2, and just like that, you're in full control of this fight. There is nothing that can go wrong. You know, he might eventually throw an SP1, which is fine. It's not the end of the world. Make sure you keep that relic handy for when you are in the corner. Hit into his block a little bit to gain some distance, and just slowly chip away, you know, with that 2% damage every time you hit into his block. I like to throw a little light in there to cause the miss. I don't know, I guess it's just like a habit of mine. I do like triggering the miss just to see if I can like react fast enough. So you guys are going to see a couple of times he throws that SP1. I am going to be throwing my light into it a lot. There is a couple times that I'd prefer to avoid the SP2 deck, because like I said, it's not 100%. There is times I fail it, and then that's just a dead character. But as you can see here, for a situation like this, we're trying to not let him throw that SP1. So every time he dashes back, we are shredding through his block. You know, if we can get 6% of his health away before he gets that SP1, like, that would be beneficial for us. Fortunately, we didn't do that, so I had to throw my SP2 to get across the screen. As you can see here, like, it's really that simple. Null pretty much has a full control over every fight except for the Adam Warlock, but that's just because I'm bad against Adam Warlock. If you guys really like don't have a problem with him, if you find his nodes to be simple, you could probably one-shot that fight too. I'm really annoyed I didn't one-shot the Photon, because that would have been four solos. It would have been insane. So we're going to trigger the miss here. And he dashes back, so luckily he's not aggressive. He is just under that 1 bar, so we were trying to get at least 4% of his health away before he throws it again. Getting bad RNG sometimes on those blocks, so it's just kind of up to chance there. I don't know what the percentage, I know it's really high, so the fact that I don't get it like a lot is pretty crazy to me. You know, we're getting it now, but I mean, I needed it before, but it doesn't matter as long as we get it, I guess. I was seriously doubting that Null can do this whole path, because the whole problem that we were having was, you know, what cosmics work. I know Serpent's a good answer for this, but I don't have Serpent. And then Resonate's a really good option, but I don't have Resonate either. I know I have like a blue key that I could in essence use, but I don't. So now this is probably the worst rotation you can have, is where he throws that SP1 and is in your face in the corner while he is basically miss. So I had to throw my my relic, which timed it pretty well, that we were able to dex his incoming and throw the relic to punish him. So it's pretty much just like an endless loop of him throwing the SP1, but luckily he does dash back and kind of let us out. I'm trying to kill him before anything happens, and it looks like I'm going to have to dex an SP2 before I get out, and in my head I'm like, this is it, I'm going to fail the dex here. But I did happen to do it actually correctly, which surprised me because I did not think I was going to land that. And just like that, that's another solo down with just Null. So it's looking pretty good. I know that a lot of people kind of cringe because Destroyer's on here. Like, how is Destroyer gonna be beaten by Null? The same exact way, ladies and gentlemen. The same exact way is how he's going to beat Destroyer. There is no node that stops Null from getting his stuff. The only thing you have to pay attention to, which took a lot of practice because I still get hit with it, is when he dashes in, he is unstoppable. So you are going to get slapped around a few times, but luckily my 3/7 Null took no damage. So we were kind of hoping for that one. When I first got to him, like my first attempt using Null, I got slapped around probably 4 or 5 times. Now, the main thing is obviously with Destroyer is you don't want him to build up to his destruction mass where he ends up getting, you know, all of his stuff and he gets his big power gain. You'll basically die. But the good news is it's part of Destroyer's kit, obviously made for sciences, but works just as well with Null. Every time you put a non-damaging debuff on Destroyer, not just a Wither or anything, just any non-damaging debuff that isn't stun, he actually loses a destruction charge. So if you have pretty decent RNG, or like if you fully dex an SP1 and then punish it with a heavy like you guys are going to see a few times, we are clearing through those destruction charges. So he also controls the power gain as well, which is pretty crazy. Hopefully he doesn't get the power gain. Hopefully the fight's over before that happens. You do have to pay attention to the unblockable that he occasionally gets, but you time that with your specials, you time that with him throwing his specials, you time that with your relic. Like you can work around that. That's probably the most trickiest part about this fight, because you're usually always in his face to be able to dex, you know, all of his stuff. There is going to be a few times that you fall short, but to be honest with you, it's really not that big of a deal. As long as you kind of stay in his face, you know, we're gonna throw the relic here to stay in the corner because we want to keep him with his back against the wall. He's more inclined to throw his specials. SP2 all day would be nice because he doesn't actually gain anything from that. We try not to parry him because when you parry him, you do armor break him. So we try to kind of fall into this loop where we're able to dex all 3 hits of his SP1 and then throw our heavy, and we're able to hit him with like 4 heavies before we have to let him out. Now, in a situation like that, we were a little far, so we did give him 1 like stack of charges, and as you can see, he did get the unblockable, but we were able to time it with our relic, so we were able to kind of control that rotation of the unblockable. So it's really not that bad. I'm letting you know. You know, you're gonna hit into his block here, get the 2%. You're gonna get a good rotation where you're throwing into the corner. You're throwing your heavies to kind of just keep looping them. As long as you keep dexing that SP1, there really is no reason why null doesn't work on this. Now, the biggest thing is be afraid of that unstoppable. I think it even ends up hitting us here. Yeah, it's not fun. It's just something that happens, and it's something that you will have to deal with. It's not a big deal. We're going to try to hit into his block to get him in the corner, while also taking 2% every time we rush in there. So, as you can see, we have a very, like a stable route of doing that increased damage of that 2%. Like, it's you know, you could take 4% off of a combo. You can take 2% off of just blocking. Like, there is a lot of ways you could take this 2% out and do it relatively quickly with someone like Null. You're constantly using the Living Abysses. It really is that simple. Now, if I had Resonate, it would have just made it a little bit better, but you don't need Resonate for someone like Null, who is producing these this debuff so fast. This is what I was talking about with looping your heavies. You're literally gaining, it's 6% of his health taken away in that one little interaction. And also, every time you put a Living Abyss, you are getting rid of his destruction charges. Obviously, you're not going to get him back to 0, but you are maintaining it so he does not ever get to 100. So we get bad RNG. That first medium doesn't give us one, and that second medium doesn't either. So we have to bait out this SP2, get the Living Abyss. We kill that Destroyer. Better than the last one. We just got slapped with the Intercept once, and just like that, he's down. Now, for this fight, the main thing you want to deal with... Maybe someone was here. The main thing you want to deal with here is the power gain. So how the Photon fight works is you are going to be gradually gaining power. And then when you get 3 bars, you get power drain back to 0. When you have 0% power, you get 240% of the defender's attack as burst damage. It is very upsetting. So what you have to do is throw your specials. Now, the problem with throwing your specials is it has some stupid node that once you throw a special, you have a 15-second timer that you cannot throw another special, or else you get a big burst damage and you die. It's pretty much what happens. You die. But if you hit into her block, medium, light, you get a Petrify, which controls your power, which is, you know, how you will kind of like bounce back in between the specials. But if you hit her block with the second light, you get 2 Petrifies, and you get 0 meter, and you just get the 10%. You get the burst damage. It's a mess. It's a mess. Now, I have a tough time with this fight in general. So, to be honest with you, I thought easy. Photon was going to kill me like 3-4 times, and Adam Warlock was going to kill me like 3-4 times. I was already prepared for it. I was pretty confident about Ares. I didn't think he was going to kill me too many times, especially after Luke Cage just taking him down. So we do run the Odin pre-fights on this fight to prepare for the Adam Warlock. And I kind of, by chance, discovered some pretty cool exploit, I guess is the best way to put it. That when you get 0 meter, and your whole your meter goes back to 0, and you get the big burst damage, it's actually capped out at 10%, I believe it is, for Odin's pre-fight. And as you can see here, I'm deathly afraid of this Photon, so what I'm going for here is constantly hitting into her block with just the medium. And as you can see, I did throw the light to make sure that my power doesn't go out of control, because the worst thing you can do is not pay attention to that, and then you have to like throw a special into nothing. The main thing we want to go for is hopefully throwing our special when she has no meter, when she's above 10, so that we are able to put her in light form. As you guys are going to see right here, we immediately throw our SP2. She will get light form and be under a bar. We just have to pay attention to not get to 3 bars, so we have to make sure we hit her into her block so that we are able to get the Petrify. But there's so much going on that like I'm trying to get the mediums to get the 2%, and then I hit into her block twice and I get the Petrify. So now in my head I'm like, all right, the game is already over. And then I get 0 meter, and as you can see, we lost. Maybe it's 15. It's capped at. we only lost 15% of our health. So in my head, I'm like, oh my god, what makes this fight so difficult isn't difficult because you have the Odin pre-fight, which is a huge exploit. Like, for those of you that are thinking about doing this, the Odin pre-fight kills. It shreds. It was insane. It helped me so many times with this node specifically because I struggle with this node. So as you can see here, we are in pretty good control of the fight. It's not where I want to be because she does have 15 light charges, so we have to immediately throw our special, knock her down. Now we have to deal with 18 light form charges. So it's going to take a lot of time, so we have to pay attention to our power. I also have to pay attention to have consistent damage, so we do hit her with 1 light to maintain the power gain so we can throw that SP2 again when the time comes. And as you can see here, she's about to hit 0 light form charges. We're trying to not stun her because she does go miss when you stun her. And just like that, we're pretty much at 50% health. And then I do it again. I hit with the 2 petrifies. I was saying, rewatching this, it's almost like I was doing it on purpose. I can't believe I did it again. So now in my head, I'm like, alright, I'm just a moron that can't not do this. So, you know what? Let's try to get as much damage as possible. In my head, I'm like, it could still be a solo, but knowing me, it's not going to be. So we're trying to bait out this SP1 here, but it doesn't look like it's going our way, so we have to, unfortunately, throw our SP2 into her heavy, which puts her in light form at a bar, so I have to block, and she's just shredding our block. Nothing we can do about it. I should have thrown my relic there. I don't know why I didn't do that. But just like that, Photon goes down, and I was so frustrated because I knew with how that fight was going that I easily could have one-shotted her if I wasn't so stupid and I kept giving myself 2 petrifies. It happened twice, and then I didn't use the relic there. I guess I was so like dumbfounded that this was the first time I found out that that Odin pre-fight worked like that. Like, that is insane. So any nodes that do like big burst damage, they're capped out at that 15% mark, which I think it's 20 when you use a 5-star or below, or maybe a 6-star and below. But because I was using a 7-star, it is the highest form, whatever that is, whether it's 15 or 10 or something like that. I think it's 15 and then the rest are 20. So if you have a 7-star, definitely go for it. As I'm talking, it's the same thing. We're throwing that SP2 to get her into light form. We're trying to hit into her block with just the medium, and then I hit her with 1 just to control it. I have to literally destroy my mental cerebral cortexes to make sure I don't throw a second light, because for some reason by instinct I keep doing that, and I don't know why I'm doing that. So we hit into her block again, 2% taken away. So in my head I'm like, alright, this is it. I think we're okay here. You know, we're going to try to bait out this SP1, get some 2% damage through block, and then she stops playing, like, she stops playing ball. I couldn't believe it. She was really giving me a run for my money for these last 8%. So we do the safe option. We get the Petrify to reverse it, and just like that, Photon goes down. Very upsetting. Could have been another solo to add to the books. But I'm going to let you know now, I knew this Adam Warlock wasn't going to be a solo. We needed the Odin pre-fights because he does have buffed up. He doesn't take any damage unless you have 3 buffs. He's got Soul Barb. He's got... You can't intercept him because then he nullifies. And then he power drains you. And this guy just has every node to make life not worth living, is pretty much the best way to put that. So what I'm thinking of is that what makes Null so beautiful at this is even if a fight isn't going your way, like that Photon, for example, even if your fight isn't going your way, you are still able to take out a big chunk of their health with just the hitting through their block. So now in this situation, the Soul Barb is on a timer, so we do have to try to throw our SP1 if possible. And just like that, we were able to throw it just in time to give him the Soul Barb instead. So now we have to bait out this special, which after he throws a special, that's when the Soul Barb would go on a timer. But if there's a Soul Barb already active on him or you, he doesn't instead do that. Instead, it just goes around and acts like nothing happened. So we're going to try to hit him after his SP2, just before he goes into the cocoon, so that we are able to get our bar. But unfortunately, it lined up with the power drain, and then we intercepted him, and then we lost all our health and died. And I knew in my head it wasn't going to go well. This fight was not going to go well. I was annoyed. I was livid because I knew in my head I could have one-shotted that Photon, which ruined this fight for me. I knew this fight was going to suck, and I was more annoyed that the other fight didn't. So now he's at 11% health here. The reason why I fast-forward is because there was a huge collection of me sucking, right? And you guys are like, oh, well, you fast forward to the end. Did I fast forward to the end, though? Did I fast forward to the end, though? Because I died again at him at 1%. And you're like, all right, just use someone else. I can't use someone else because it's got buffed up. And you're like, oh, use Odin. Odin doesn't do debuffs, so I have to use Null. Literally for a 1% Adam Warlock. And I gotta say, the AI must be aware of the nodes that he has. Because I said the best analogy was like a cartoon apple pie on the windowsill. It was there for the taking. He was setting himself up to get intercepted. He knew you were going to go for it. And because you went for it, look, I almost went for it again. I was petrified of this guy. Get Adam Warlock down. In my head, I'm like, this was a joke. I farmed for like 5 revives, and I used them all on Adam Warlock. And I'm not looking good right now. So the next fight is Aegon, and I gotta say, going into this fight, it wasn't looking good for me. In my head, I was like, I'm not gonna be able to one-shot him, but let's try to get some damage. And as I was saying before, what makes Null so good is when you aren't understanding a node or you aren't doing the fight correctly, he can still take out a huge chunk of their health just because his basic attacks do the debuffs. And for someone like Northstar or like Destroyer or even Photon for that matter, people that don't gain power, you can just dash back, do a medium into their block, medium into their block, medium into their block. And obviously not a double medium, but like medium into their block, dash back, medium. Like you could take off 16, 18% of their health before they even get a bar. And with good RNG, that's really well. Even with bad RNG though, you're going to take at least 10 to 12% of their health before they even get a bar. Like that's really good. So that's what makes him so good for this, because even when it's not going well, you're still able to do something for it. What makes Aegon annoying is he starts at 1,000 combo meter, so he is unblockable. He does crit like crazy. So what you need to do is you need to intercept him to gain a reinforced passive, which gives you crazy block proficiency, so you take no damage, and hits that are done to you and also through your block, or maybe just only through your block, are guaranteed to make it so that those hits don't crit, which makes it so Aegon doesn't become unblockable and all that. And then you, at the same time, gain cement charges every 12 seconds. The only way to get rid of those cement charges is to block an attack. So obviously you have to play the node to be able to get that. And then when you block, it gets rid of one. And then when you get 3 cement charges, you do get rooted, which isn't the end of the world. You can use a relic, you can use your special. There is many ways to get out of root, so this node itself really isn't that much of a problem. As you guys are going to see, this fight turns into a beatdown. I go into this fight with 55% health because I am confident that I am not going to be able to beat this guy. So I'm just kind of biding my time here. In my head, I was like, you know what I'll do? I'll just never hit him. And we're getting great RNG. You know, already 10% of his health taken away. We haven't even really done much of anything yet. And then I like accidentally get an intercept, and I'm thinking in my head, oh, might as well parry medium or parry heavy because I have the reinforce. It's not like I really worked for it, and we're going to keep those cement charges under control. So I gained another intercept, and I'm like, I'm going to try to bait out this SP2, and we're going to block 2 hits to get rid of the cement charges. So we block, which ended up being a parry, which makes it so we basically get no damage because we get increased block efficiency and all that. And then you have this node, which I didn't remember at the time. I get hit with it now, and then I'm like, oh, I got to worry about that. After his specials, you have to hit him with a heavy to get rid of it. Now, this is another mind-blowing discovery. It gets capped. It gets capped by Odin. You guys are going to see here. Look. 15% health. 15%? That's all that took? I couldn't believe it. In my head, I was like, it's over. I'm going to beat this guy. I'm going to beat this guy. I'm like, now that I know that I have protection and I don't really have to worry too much about the node, I'm fine. So I'm going to try to get it here. And we don't get it in time because of how long Aegon, Null's heavy is. So in my head, I'm like, oh, maybe it's not going to work. And then I realized that after he throws his specials, he goes debuff immune. Not the end of the world, but can be a little frustrating because the main thing with that is for every debuff that he takes away after going debuff immune, it cuts the debuff immunity passive by 2 seconds. It only lasts 6, so as long as he has 3 debuffs on the activation of a special, he will have no debuff immunity. It'll just be for the duration of the special. So you guys are going to see here, he's going to throw his SP1, gain debuff immunity, but it's not going to do anything. So we are able to capitalize with, in essence, it would be a parry heavy, or you could just throw your relic into it. And just like that, we are doing very well here. We are able to parry heavy because we did gain an intercept. And in my head, I'm like, this fight is looking pretty good. It's looking pretty juicy. I'm starting to like low-key kind of ignore the cement charges because I do have that SP3 on deck, so I don't really have to worry about it too much. We're going to try to gain some intercepts here, so we are able to parry. But I do get rooted, and I get a little scared, so I have to throw my SP3 immediately. Unfortunately, it doesn't stun, so I have to kind of like try to get my my heavy off as fast as possible. And just like that, let's go with an instant replay because that was amazing. That was amazing. Here, I'm gonna throw it. Oh wait, we went. Watch how good. Watch how good I am. That was a pro player play right there. We're stuck. We got nothing. I can't relic. I tried to double me because I didn't think he'd be double his debuff immune, and just like that, we were able to land the heavy into his heavy. That's how long his heavy works. And I am killing it right now. He is debuff immune, so we are going to have to run this relic to get rid of that timer because we are just under 15%, so we are not able to tank a burst damage here. We are able to stun him freely, so I'm kind of just hoping that he plays ball for a little bit. We do try to block that to make sure that we don't take any damage. Unfortunately, he is debuff immune, so we have to kind of like move this along with our heavy and our relic. And we are able to pull it off a couple of times, actually. Like, in my head, I'm like, there's no way we're doing this again. Oh my god, I'm getting another 6%. And then I'm just like, there's no way I'm going to do it again. And then I'm like, holy hell, I'm getting another 6% of his health taken away. We are building the relic super fast. I think that might be part of the node to kind of make it a little bit easier for you to hit him with your heavy. And, like I said, we're kind of slowly ignoring the cement charges. I did have to gain that intercept, so we are able to parry heavy here to get rid of that timer. And there's just a lot to worry about. And just like that, we have the health lead on him. We haven't had the health lead like all game. Gonna throw the relic here into our heavy, and just like that, we soloed that Aegon. That was the craziest thing I've ever seen. I did not think we were getting that. We didn't have the health lead the whole time. It was a mess. So, as I said in my last video, in case you are only watching certain paths, I did do a very in-depth Ares guide in my first video, which is the Path to Science Tech Nebula path. And then for the last video, what I said was, we are going to go over Ares' abilities, but they're not going to be as in-depth as the first video. So if you want like a very in-depth where we stop it and we go, you know, in each phase, like once we hit phase 2, I go away and then I do a picture of phase 2, we talk about it a little bit, and then we go to the fight. Something like that. That's in the first video. For something like this, though, we're just going to kind of go over his abilities very quickly and go right into the fight and kind of just talk about it as the fight goes on. So, starting off, pretty simple with Ares' abilities. He cannot have his attack, armor, resistances, special attack, anything. None of his stuff can be manipulated. None of his stats. You can't have your stats increased at all. It's just whatever the starting value is when you walk into the fight. It'll never change after that. He also takes no damage from damaging effects. That's a big thing too. I don't recommend it, but if you use a regen character against him, you are allowed to regen. He does not stop it, but he does gain 400% of the health you gained as permanent attack rating. So he is going to start shredding through your block. Take it from me. I've fought him 3 times already. His attack really isn't that high. He doesn't really take much damage. Like, he doesn't really do much damage. Where he's killing people is with dodging the right specials. Because if you eat like a full special to the face, especially in SP2, you're going to go down. Doesn't really matter. So the attacker's effects that trigger against final bosses do not trigger against Ares, so no like synergies, no abilities against the final boss node or anything like that. So like Elsa Bloodstone doesn't gain her stuff. but not that that really matters. Every time you die to Ares, he does give you a Vigor passive, which basically just increases your attack rating. That's to put like into like a similar state. If you ever fought the Grandmaster, when he gives you the tokens when you complete a task, it's the same exact thing. He gives you an attack rating, but instead of there being like a wounded phase with the Grandmaster and the Collector and all that, I don't even think the Collector has that, but like a wounded phase with the Grandmaster, you're just permanently able to do that big damage to Ares. Every time he changes his phase, he will take those passes. We'll get to that in a little bit. So every time you're knocked out or you lose, he does give you one permanent Vigor passive. It's a pre-fight ability that you are able to keep using. And every time you die, you get another one, and it's pretty much infinite. So in essence, if you died 100 times to him, he would give you 100 passives. And you'd pretty much be killing him in one hit. He does not like Hercules, so every time you use Hercules on him, he does generate 1 bar of power every 3 seconds. So I highly, 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 highly do not recommend using Hercules. I mean, he doesn't even really work on this path. I mean, I guess if you wanted to use Resonate and the Intimidate debuff that he has, it would be messy. It wouldn't be a good looking fight. Next up, his heavy attack. It cannot miss, be evaded, or interrupted, but it can be punished, of course. The second part of his heavy covers the entire arena. It's a minigun. It's very annoying to deal with. If you get hit with it, 60% suppression passive, 60% wither passive, and they both last 60 seconds. So very annoying. His SP1s and his SP2s on activation root you, so you have to stay in his face the entire time. They each start with a kick, and then that's when they branch off and they do different things. Now, the big part of what this character is about is how you have to dodge his abilities. So his specials are all different, but they all kind of include all of these except for the minigun. The minigun is only in the SP2. Any sword attacks of his specials have to be well-timed blocked or parried. Any axe attacks of his specials have to be dodged. Any spear attacks have to be done with a light attack. So you have to be throwing a light attack as you get hit with it. And then the minigun, you have to swipe up or down. And then that's it. Performing the correct action prevents the hit from landing and grants the attacker an indefinite 75% Vigor passive. Failure to do so results in the attack landing no matter what, so if you're unstoppable or anything like that, he will still hit you as if you're not unstoppable or anything like that. You are immune to indestructible. He makes you immune to buffs that you aren't able to use on him, so one of those being death immunity, immortality, indestructible, anything like that. So anything to like mitigate damage, he pretty much takes away from you. He is fairly annoying, I'm not going to lie, but as I've said in all my other videos, he's a very easy boss. If you are able to dodge these specials pretty fluently, you know, as you fight him more, you're going to be able to get to it. It is very simple. Now, at the start of the fight, his special attacks move 20% slower. So that is Kabam's way of helping you. In the beginning, he can only throw SP1s, which we'll get to in a second. They slow it down so that you are able to kind of figure out how to dodge the specials. Now, as I've said in all the other videos, I find the first phase to be the most frustrating at times, especially when you're first starting it, because your parry timing is off. Because, I mean, obviously there is definitely a lot of leniency with the actions. They do allow you to use, to do the actions relatively early, and pretty late too, actually, to be able to get the prompts correctly, because they understand that it's kind of difficult to do. So you actually get a pretty wide range of where you can kind of throw the ability. But I get screwed with that parry a lot. I do it too early. I do it too late. Like it definitely gets annoyed. But every time you finish a phase, his specials get 7.5% faster. So by the end of it, with his 5th phase, his specials are extremely fast. So you definitely have to know what you're doing in that phase. So entering a new phase, he removes all the Vigor passives you've gotten just by dodging his abilities, and then he converts them each into Intimidate passives. Except for the ones that you get when you die to him and he gives you them, those stay forever, but any ones that you would have built during a phase, he does take away and turn into an Intimidate, which is good because each one is 5%, and you usually have above like 40 or 50 of those after a phase ends, so he is fully intimidated and just stuck in the corner, and after they run out, he does become unblockable, unstoppable, and indestructible. Now, I know what you're thinking. If he throws that while you're dodging an ability, it's fine. You are able to do it. They make it so you are guaranteed to dodge them. It doesn't matter what he has. They make it so you are able to do that. Now, we're going to start talking about his phases. Phase 1, fairly simple. Doesn't really start to hurt you until the very end. The attacker's health as a percentage cannot be higher than Ares. So, for example, if Ares is 10% health going into a fight and you go in with a fully healed character, he will degen your health to 10% so you guys are even. And if you guys are at 10%, and you dodge a special and then you hit him a few times and he goes down to 7%, he will degen your health, so you go down to 7% as well. So it's the health is always the same, so just something you have to deal with. And that's pretty much it for phase 1. There really isn't anything to it. It's a lot of slow SP1s that you kind of use that to learn the decks. For phase 2, he will now throw one special or the other. It's either SP1 or SP2. There is no way to figure it out preemptively. It's something that you will have to learn, which is another thing that brings me to my next topic with this fight. As I said in my last one, don't be upset, don't be discouraged if you're getting hit by his specials all the time, if you can't differentiate it. Now, you differentiate is after the special, so the special starts, he kicks you. He either pulls out his axe for his SP1 or he pulls out his sword for his SP2. It's that simple. You have to figure out which one he's pulling. Now, I say it's simple, but it really isn't. In the heat of it, you really get no time to react. He will throw out his weapon, and you have to know not only which special he's throwing, but the correct dodge pattern. You know, each what's it called? Each special has to be dodged a very particular way. You know, just off the top of my head because I know how to do it. It's not that difficult because I got my balls kicked in during it. It's just something you kind of have to learn. So now, I would highly recommend, if you're getting frustrated with it, just take a break for a little bit. You will get hurt by his special attacks. It's how every single person has learned it. There has not been one person that went into this fight with no knowledge and just learned the specials fast enough to be able to react. It's just not humanly possible. So, if you get hit by his special 15, 20 times and, you still don't have an idea or you're starting to slowly grasp an idea, like, that's improvement. You know what I mean? It's your first time fighting him. It's really not that big of a deal. Now, I got to say, for my first fight, my first time fighting him, I died 15 times about before I really started to learn how to differentiate his SP1 and his SP2. And then even then, I was still missing the dodges because it's two totally different sequences for the SP1 and the SP2. They're totally different. So that's another problem in its own. Not only are you figuring out which special he's throwing in that small span of time, you also have to remember the pattern for those specials. It's a lot to deal with, trust me. So for those of you that are like, I can't do this, it's too difficult, you're going to learn. Every single YouTuber that you've watched, myself included, they've all got hurt. They all got hit by those specials 15 plus times. I mean, unless you're like a god, maybe like 10 times or 7 times, 6 times. But it took a lot of learning. You wrote it, you write it down, whatever you got to do. I know that there was a couple tricks with pausing the game to see what weapon he's pulling out. Don't do that. Don't do that. It did not work for me. It ends up ruining it, actually, because when you pause it, if you pause too early, the game to try to because when you unpause, the game has to basically reset for your inputs to start working. In that span of it resetting, you're not going to be able to land the parry off or the dodge off to start, to start with the special. So you're actually you're purposely getting hurt with the specials. So do not pause it. Just try to figure it out. That's why the first phase is there, because it's slower, and then the second phase has them both, but it's still fairly slow. So you are able to you do get a little bit of grace period to figure out which special is being thrown at you. It's still difficult, don't get me wrong. You are gonna die a few times, but by the end of it, you will learn it. I mean, for those of you that haven't watched it, I got hurt pretty bad on the first attempt on Ares. I think I died a total of like 20 something times. I know at least Titania had 16 pre-fights, so she must have died 16 times. And then I slowly started to learn it. And then the second time, I beat him in 4 tries. And then in this time, I think I beat him in 5 tries total. So it really isn't that bad. You will eventually learn it. So don't be frustrated too much. Phase 3 starts. This is an annoying phase, but as I've said before, you don't really have to follow this phase if you just don't punish his specials. Now it says he can only be punished with the appropriate act of aggression. The act of aggression is comprised of 2 actions that must be performed in order. The act is randomly chosen from the following at the start of a phase and resets after each special attack. So medium attack into light attack, medium attack into heavy charge, medium attack into special attack, and then dodge backwards into medium attack. Performing the chosen act at the end of Ares' special attacks prevents Ares from moving or attacking and guarantees the attack will land. So basically, if you were to medium and then throw a heavy, he does get stunned and allows you to hit him. So it's don't have to worry about stuff like that. Now, if that's too much for you to deal with, if you're already having a tough enough time trying to figure out which specials being thrown at you, the dodge pattern for those specials, if there's just a lot going on, you don't have to follow this. You know what I mean? Like, you can pay attention to see what it's up to. If it's medium light, it's just a regular punish at that point. But if it's like medium heavy, if you don't feel comfortable doing that, just dash in with a medium and dash back. Or just don't punish at all. Either way, it's okay. You know, as long as, because then when you don't do the prompt, it resets. It doesn't act as you failed. So for example, if he throws a special and you don't do any of these actions at all and you dash back, they just reset. It's not considered failing. Even if you do fail, nothing really happens. He just retaliates, which is a whole nother thing. And if you do it, you don't get anything for doing it. So at that point, if it's not really that much of a problem, you don't have to really follow it. So I would recommend not really dealing with it. If it becomes too much to think about, just completely cut that phase out. You know, for example, though, like if it's medium attack, you know, you could at least dash in and dash back. That's considered failing a prompt, which basically means in the 2 seconds or 3 seconds that it takes for him to reset it to start new prompts, if you hit his block or hit him, I think in general, he retaliates or whatever it's called. And it basically means he blocks, he stuns you, and he like pushes you back. And it hits for about 30k. It's definitely a big chunk of your health, but it doesn't really kill you if you're using like a beefy character or if it's not too late in the game. So don't really follow this phase, but if you want to, it's fairly simple. It's just following the prompts. You know, for example, if you have medium attack and a special attack and you don't have a special, just medium and dash back. You don't have to worry about it. It's really not that big of a deal. Now, as I said before, attempting to punish without the appropriate act of aggression results in Ares executing a reversal against the next attack, which basically just means he blocks, pushes you back. Phase 4, fairly simple phase, doesn't really add too much to it. Just another thing you have to worry about. Every 20 seconds on a timer, Ares gains a haste passive for 20 seconds, which, for those of you that don't know, haste is when he dashes in, he is unstoppable, which is annoying to deal with, of course. But this timer is paused during Ares' special attacks, and while he is intimidated or indestructible, it is reset when he is struck during a heavy attack. Now, you can keep it up by baiting his heavy attack, but I wouldn't even do that. The timer is paused during Ares' special attacks, which basically means that, of course, yes, it's on a 20-second timer and the haste lasts 20 seconds, so in a perfect world, it is basically permanent uptime on haste, but when he throws a special that lasts about 5 to like 6 or 7 seconds, I don't really know. It's a long special, especially considering how fast they speed it up and slow it down. So you are able to get uptime on the haste, basically. So when he runs out of haste, a lot of times he'll need like 6 or 7 more seconds or 10 seconds before he gets his next one. So like this is also another phase you really don't have to worry about too much. I mean, don't go for intercepts and all that if you know he has it, but it's really not that bad. Now the last phase, which for a lot of people is the most annoying, is once he hits 1% health, he gains 99 indefinite persistent immortality passives. These cannot be removed except by Ares' ability. While he has one or more of these passives, his attacks cannot be blocked. So he is immortal, just like Hercules. He is unblockable, so it's just something you have to deal with. If you remove any of them, that's pretty much how you kill him. You have to remove them. There's nothing you can do about it. 3 passives are removed whenever any hit of Ares' special attack does not land. So same thing you've been doing. You know, I'm assuming if you're up to this point, you either know or you don't, but as long as you know how to dodge his specials, there's nothing to this fight. As I've said in many of the other times, none of these phases make him difficult. But they all boil down to the same thing. If you don't know how to dex his specials, you are in for a rude awakening. You are in for 50 deaths at the minimum. It's going to be tough. But if you do, under 10 every time. Maybe even less, depending on how good you are. Now, Three passives when you dodge the specials correctly. Two passives are removed when Ares is intercepted, which is good. A lot of people that are there's a couple of guides out there that for people that don't know how to dex the specials. First of all, if you don't know how to dex the specials and you got to this point, that's ridiculous. That alone must have cost you a fortune. They figured out like cheese ways to land the intercepts a million times to get rid of them, but it's 99. It's a lot. It's a lot to do, and one passive is removed when the fight starts. So in case that doesn't work out, you can just die 100 times and then go back in, and you'll get rid of all his indestructibles without even doing anything, or his immortalities. So that's pretty much how the Ares fight works. There's no surprises, nothing to add to his kit besides the specials getting faster, but it all boils down to the same key thing. If you know how to dex his specials, there is no fight. So we're going to go back into it. Make sure that we get to the right part. Okay. We're going to go right into it. The dodge pattern for the specials is a little tricky, but as I said, they do slow it down in the first phase. I did fully heal the null to try to get as much health off him as possible. I was going for the solo when I did this. I was like, I almost killed him in one shot with Luke Cage. I think I can get the solo this time, and then that in itself will be a video, and it'll just look hot. So he's going to throw his first special at us. Very slow. Starts off with an axe, so that's a dex. And then two sword attacks, which is two parries. Then a spear attack, which is a light, and then you dash back one more time. So I'm gonna slow it down again. So it starts off with an axe. So if you guys don't remember, that's a dodge. And then it's a sword attack, so that means a parry. And then another sword attack, which is a parry. Then it's a spear, which is light attack. And then he's going to retaliate with another axe, which is another dodge. So each completed prompt gives us those orange buffs you see just under null there, which is increased attack. We're going to do it again. Dodge, parry, parry, light, dodge. So I know it looks very simple from here, but trust me, in the moment, it is very annoying to do. But anyone could do it. It's really not that bad. It's just once the SP2 gets involved, it's not just one special now. You kind of have to learn both, and it's annoying. Trust me. Light attack, dodge. It's very simple, as you guys can see. Like, it is a very simple concept. I don't think many of you are going to have an issue. Obviously, as you can see here, he is degenning us now because we are getting a health lead on him. Dodge, parry, parry, light, dodge. So dodge, parry, parry, light, dodge. Dodge, parry, parry, light, dodge. It's very simple. Look at that. It's flawless. The first phase is very simple. Once he introduces the second phase, I know a lot of people kind of start to crumble there, and that's fine. You know, it is a lot to do. You know what I mean? I'm not denying that. It is very frustrating. Now, what we want to do is we want to try to throw our SP2. We don't want to hit him with an SP3. We want to make sure that we have the SP2, because once you have all of those orange buffs there, with the increased attack, and you throw that SP2 with those armor breaks, that null is hitting for a lot. Now, I do have to recommend, the reason why I brought Hitmonkey was because I just needed a third 7-star, and he's rank 3, and he's skilled, so I was like, might as well bring him. I thought immediately that I think he would do fantastic. I thought Hitmonkey would do amazing. He already does crazy damage, and then with the attack increase, he would shred Ares. And sure enough, you guys are going to see, he does very well against him. Now, as I said, I was going for the solo here. I did pause it because we do have to walk through this special, because now this is the SP2. As you guys can see, he does start off with the sword, as in the other one he starts off with the axe. Another kind of visual cue that you can go with is you see the blue around him. So in essence, maybe it's easier for you, maybe don't look for the sword itself, but just kind of look in his direction. And if you see blue, you know that SP2 is coming, so you can mentally prepare for it. And when his arms are lower and he brings the axe, it's orange, which kind of is a way to differentiate them. If that's easier for you, maybe the weapon itself doesn't help, but maybe the colors that surround the weapon are. Because for me, it was the colors. It wasn't the weapon itself. I think now it's the weapon because now it's easier, but at the time it was just like, well, I'm just going to look for blue or orange. So it starts off with a sword attack, so that's a parry. Obviously we messed up there. It was first SP2 of the game. You got to give me some time to warm up. So the SP2, just so you guys can see it, starts off with a sword attack. So it starts off with a parry, then another parry, then a spear. So you're going to throw a light attack, then dodge, dodge, and then he uses the minigun, so it's swipe up or down. So now, people think I'm crazy when I say it, but the SP1 and the SP2 are actually very similar. So the SP1 is dodge, parry, parry, light, dodge, right? Dodge, parry, parry, light, dodge. The second special is parry, parry, light, dodge, dodge, up. So in essence, the light attack always breaks the middle of it, basically. Now, obviously, they're not super similar, but for me, it just helped me. I don't know. For some reason, saying it out loud, it doesn't sound like they're alike at all. But in my head, they're so similar, they can almost be the same thing. So don't actually refrain from what I just said. If it helps you, it helps you. But for me, it helps me. In my head, I'm like, they're actually really similar. Like, the light attack breaks it off, and then you do a double action after that. Like, that was how I kind of saw it. Like, it's a little bit easier for me. So now we have another SP2, parry, parry, light, dodge, dodge, swipe up. And as you can see there, we do actually do the swipe up relatively early. So there, as I said, there is a very, like, long grace period that you can use for that. He's going to start gaining 5% of a bar of power when he throws attacks, so you can kind of push him to an SP2 if you want. Swipe up. We can punish him freely. It is very simple. So as you can see there, we are killing it. I feel like there's like weird noises in my house. What the hell is going on? But anyway, pretty much this is all phase 2 is. You know, it doesn't really start to heat up until the phases go, you know, later, because then the specials are faster themselves. As you see, light, dodge. I don't know. In my head, it just, I feel like the light attack is kind of like the saving grace there. Like, you know that your special's almost over. I don't know. For me, they're similar, and it's just easy for me to remember because they're so similar, even though they really aren't. So he pulls out the axe, so this is the SP1 dodge. And as you can see there, we're starting to get the hang of it. If you are able to confidently dex the specials like over and over and over and over again, you can solo this like easy. With anyone, really. But unfortunately, I've only fought him 3 times, which is a lot. I suck, obviously. And I would have one-shot him in this, but I got a little too confident. I had a really good fight with him in the last row with Luke Cage. I got him all the way down to 1% in one shot. Like, I had a really good run. So in my head, I was like, I'm gonna beat this guy, and I was like going into it like I'm gonna get the solo. Like this is not a question. Like, I'm already thinking about editing the solo video as we're talking, and as I was like drifting off into space thinking about it, I died. You guys are gonna see how I died too. It's pretty stupid. So SP2 decks here, and as you can see, it's fairly simple. You know, just gotta play it very very safe. Every time you successfully dodge it, you get like a 5 or 6 increases in those passives for the attack rating. So you just start hitting like a truck as you keep doing it. And that time we did it extremely early. So early, in fact, that Null wasn't even done with his other animation before he swiped up. So like, the grace period for that is very high. So you got this. Light attack, dodge, dodge. The SP2, in my opinion, is a lot easier to dex because it's 2 of the same action, then light attack, then another 2 of the same action. Like, in my opinion, I felt like the SP2 was easier because it's just parry, parry, light, dodge, dodge, up. Like that, in my opinion, like, I think that's easier than dodge, parry, parry, light, dodge. Like, I feel like it's, the SP1's kind of all over the place, and the SP2 is very, like, regimented. Like, parry, parry, light, dodge, dodge, up. You know, and the up is the only thing that kind of differentiates it. And as you can see there, we didn't do it correctly. The punish, so I just mediumed and then dashed back. So yes, we failed, but nothing happens. So we don't really have to worry too much. So it's dodge, parry, parry, light, dodge, and then we have to do a medium and a heavy for the act of aggression, and we did it correctly. But to be honest with you, it doesn't really matter, because as I said like before, you can't combo off of those. So it's like, who cares? The only really good one is the medium light one. So dodge, parry, parry, light, dodge. The only real good one is medium light because that is a normal punish. So like, that's the only one that you can actually get like real value off of. Even like the medium into special is stupid. So he's gonna throw his SP2 here. And it's gonna be the SP1 animation. It's so tricky at times that like, even when like I have like a good thing going, like it still trips me up sometimes. So don't be too frustrated. It's really not that big of a deal. This is a very fun fight. It's definitely beautifully made. Like, I like it a lot. it's made so anyone can beat it, but you definitely have to know how to dex these if you want to like have like a decent time. So as you can see there, we did dash back and then dashed in, which is another one of the other 2 prompts that you're able to get like a full punish off of. So medium light is good, and dash back medium is really good too, because those 2 you can actually get like a full combo off of them. So as you can see here, I got cocky, and what happened was I was feeling myself. Like as we're talking, like I'm like, yeah, like I'm gonna get this. Like this is a joke. And then the problem I had was I was feeling myself. Like Dex, right? Dex. And then what happened was I'm holding the phone, right? I'm holding the phone, right? And then you swipe up. But I was so confident that like instead of swiping up, I like swooped up. I like swooped it. And then it ended up being a, as you can see, I turned green because I did it correctly, and then immediately it goes red because I did the wrong thing. So it was like I went up and swooped. So I ended up dodging by accident, and I ended up killing Null. And I was so mad because I was like, doesn't matter how much health I had, like I knew I was gonna kill it. So I'm gonna go in with Hitmonkey here. You know, kind of fast forward a little bit because it's all the same stuff. You know what I mean? And now that I don't have the one shot on Null, who cares now? Who cares? So we get hit, and I'm like 5%. I'm like, oh, this is a joke of a run. And then you just lock in. The monkey locks in. Parry, parry, light. As you can see, we are in phase 4, so the timer is a lot faster. His specials are super fast. And as you can see, with 7 vigor passives, his mediums are already hitting for like a crazy amount. I mean, that last hit of that SP2 hit for 75k. I mean, like, I needed to build Null up to do those numbers. So, like, Hitmonkey's already doing crazy damage. I can only imagine what he would have done if I built him up from the beginning. So, hopefully, when I do the Cassie path, which the cosmic skill side of it, hopefully I can put Hitmonkey on that team, and we can get a very nice Hitmonkey solo that'll probably only last about 15 minutes at most. As you can see there, I'm being very safe with the, what's it called? I'm being very, very safe with the, what the hell is it called? With the swipe ups. I'm literally just like, it's just swipe up, and then I basically put the phone down because I didn't want to swipe. Again, I was so mad. I died to this like overconfidence. Like that's what gets me. Not the boss, but the overconfidence of beating the boss is what killed me. So now we have 24, and as you can see here, I mean, medium's hitting for 164,000, light attacks hitting for 125,000, something like that. Like, we are shredding through this guy's block. There's going to be an instance here where we throw our SP2, and you're going to see his health just go away. We got the medium, light, micro, like, whatever, active aggression, and it's just, look at that. That SP2 alone took like 6 or 7% of his health. Like, it was insane. We're actually doing so much damage that when he hit us in the beginning, we actually have the health lead now. That's how much damage we're doing. Oh, I'm like wondering who the hell is outside. Whatever. So he's going to throw his SP2 here. He has 99 indestructibles or immortalities now, so we just have to keep doing what we're doing. There's no problem here. I mean, the specials are faster, but to be honest with you, who cares? You are able to throw the SP2 fine. If you know to land the decks, it doesn't matter if they're super fast or not. It's just like fighting the Robot Kang. Like, there really is nothing going for you here. We're going to land the intercepts. We have to make sure to not do the wrong active aggression, because this is where it gets me the most when there's so much going on. And you also have to make sure to not like trigger an intercept when he has haste. So we got lucky. There is a medium light active aggression there, so we were able to just punish freely and then throw our SP2 here. So he's going to gain his SP2 here. Hopefully we're able to dex it. We do just fine. It doesn't matter how many vigors we're getting now, because who cares. So we throw him with a little bit of a heavy here. I wanted to hit him with another heavy, but I was afraid that like he would like dash in and somehow it would be enough distance that he would go unstoppable. And for a situation like this where you're not able to hit him, it's easier for him to just dash in, gain the 5% bar of power, and then just let him throw his special from that. Like, there is so many ways to manipulate his power once he's able to gain it like that, that they made this fight so simple yet so difficult at the same time. Like, it is a beautifully made fight. Like, I love it so much. Like, I can't wait to finish this and just like go in randomly one day and just like fight him for fun. Parry, parry, light, dodge, dodge, swipe up, and put the phone down, and then just like that, we kill him in one hit. 14,000 damage, and just like that, he is dead and out for the count. took a screenshot so I can send it to the people that play the game with me, and I was feeling good. We're also going to have that crystal opening in here as I've done in all the other videos if you guys want to watch those. It is the skill one, so we're going for a 7-star skill. There wasn't a lot of people that I wanted, because the skill class is kind of a class that I don't really like too much. I know I have like a 7-star crossbones that I wanted to dupe. Atuma was cool. Let's see who else is it. Bullseye. That's who I wanted. I want a 7-star Bullseye. I walked in, I was like, this is Bullseye. I want him. This is where I pull him. I want Bullseye and I want Serpent, and I have neither one of those characters. So that's a problem in its own. So we spin it, and we pull Crossbones. We finally dupe Crossbones, which gives us it's like a 49% chance to shrug things off. So now he's become a totally versatile weapon. Now he can shrug things off instead of just turning off abilities. Definitely a really good pull. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'm going to see you all in the next one. Whatever. I'll see you.